If you're looking to lose body fat, I'm sure you hear all the time, you need to eat healthy, control your intake, eat plenty of protein, and hey, I'm not disagreeing, these things are all important. However, nothing changes your body more than a good strength training routine does, but at the same time, not the way you're doing it. You need to make sure you do things the right way to maximize your results, and that's what I'm going to show you today. But before I get into the mistakes you're making, I want to make sure you understand why your body becomes basically a calorie burning machine, because you basically get a trifecta of calorie burning from this. Part one is you burn calories during the exercise itself, but that's actually the least valuable of all of them. The second is you're going to build muscle from this, and adding muscle to your frame is quite literally the only way you can get your baseline metabolism to increase beyond what your normal genetic potential would be. But the third part is arguably the biggest part of things, and that is the afterburn effect you get from strength training. Unlike with cardio, where you do the exercise, you stop, and shortly after you stop burning extra calories. For reference to this, there was a study that looked at people who did 1 mile runs at a 6 mile per hour pace, which is a pretty decent pace, and they only had an increase to their resting metabolic rate for 15 minutes after that exercise, and those who walked for a mile only had an increase to their metabolic rate for 10 minutes after exercise. With strength training, you have this EPOC, which stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, where your metabolic rate stays higher for around 48 hours post-exercise while your body's recovering, but again, not if you're not doing this right. And what's this mistake you could be making? You're just not challenging yourself. I see this all the time. You're leaving way too much in the tank to really get much benefit out of your training. And hey, I hear some of your concerns. One is you don't want to get hurt, right? And I get that. I'm not suggesting that you go past form breakdown and get sloppy with your training. And two, maybe you don't care that much about muscle. You don't care if you have a really muscular physique. But the thing you have to understand is it's not going to happen by accident. Muscle is a slow process, and you're not going to just start training and then all of a sudden look like a bodybuilder. If only it was that easy for those of us like myself who really would like to build a lot of muscle. It just doesn't happen that way, especially for females. And honestly, to get the body you want, trying to do everything you could to get too big would probably be the very thing that's going to get you where you want to be. It's also going to be important with this that you get past that scale number. You're going to build muscle. Muscle has weight, so you may not see a whole lot of actual weight loss, but that's not the same as fat loss. And at the end of the day, you're trying to change your body, not some number on the scale. Would you really care what the scale said if you had the body of your dreams? Do you really think people would come up to you and go, wow, you look amazing. How much do you weigh? And then if you tell them, they go, nope, that's too high. Like, no, of course not. You got to let go of that number. So here's the thing. To maximize your results, you can leave 1 to 3 reps in your training. I'm not disputing that. There's been plenty of research that's shown that, but the problem is what you think is 1 to 3 reps is probably much different than what it actually is. Training to failure doesn't mean training until it starts feeling difficult and then stopping. It means training to the point where you literally cannot move that weight anymore and you fail. Now, quite frankly, you probably shouldn't be training to failure a whole lot, but the thing is, if you never train to failure, you don't know what that feels like, and you also won't know what 1, 2, or 3 reps in the tank feels like either, because you've never challenged yourself enough. You always stop when it starts feeling difficult, when it starts to burn a little bit, and the thing is, your mind goes before your body does. And this is something I see all the time in the gym, even from my clients. If I'm doing their training, I'll have them send me some videos sometimes to not only, yes, look at form, but also make sure that they're training hard enough. And sometimes I'll even see they'll be doing a certain weight for, say, sets of 12, and I'll say, okay, this time I want you to do as many as you can and send me the video, and they'll get like 40 reps. It's just, you're capable of doing so much more than you think. And after that, sometimes I'll give them some weights to do. I'll say, okay, I want you to do this many reps with this weight. And they'll come back and say, I did it, but it was hard. And I'm like, well, good, right? Like, did you really think you were going to change your body by things that came easy? You have to give your body a reason to change, and it's not going to do that if you're just going through the motions. Now, when I say training hard, I'm not talking about fast. I'm not talking about taking short rest periods. Do not turn your training into cardio. Take your time. Take a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes in between sets if you have the time. Get the body to recover. You can move more volume this way and you'll be stronger for each set. What I'm talking about is those last few reps should be hard. That weight should be slowing down significantly. You should be making those ugly faces, and it should be a serious struggle to get the last couple reps. I'm not talking about form breakdown. Don't cheat, don't hurt yourself, but occasionally it is a good idea to take a set to failure. And when you're consistently challenging your body like this, your body really needs to recover hard from this. This is how you're gonna get that EPOC that comes from the training, because it's trying to recover from this breakdown that you've given it. Now, the next question on your mind is probably, okay, how frequently should I train then? And given that it's about 48 hours of that EPOC after your training, then it makes sense to get at least 3 days of training in if you really wanna maximize your results. results, because then almost every day of the week is going to have that increase. 4 times might be a little bit more optimal, maybe sometimes 5, but also keep in mind more is not always better. You need room to be able to grow into to create the progressive overload needed to keep seeing results. In fact, there's even some research that showed a rapid increase in training volume produced worse results than a gradual increase, so don't fall into more is always better. Now, with all that being said, like I said in the very beginning of this video, your diet still matters. So what I want you to do next is check out this top video where I covered the perfect diet for both fat loss and muscle gain, so you can put all this together and get the results you've been dreaming of. Otherwise, I think you'll like this bottom video instead, and I'll see you in one of those other videos.